welcome back to Beyond the Whistle, Season 3, Episode 2. Today we're going to be recapping the national championship game between Michigan and Washington, and we're going to be going over the wild card round with our picks for the NFL playoffs. So without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to go over the national championship first, and I mean, as a Michigan fan, I can say, what a game. First national championship for my program, and I don't know, since '97, man. It feels great. What are your takeaways from that game?
It's definitely not what I expected. I think Washington underperformed massively. I honestly expected Washington to put up at least 3-4 touchdowns, maybe more on the ground too. And I think Penix definitely did not play his best game. I think his best game was against Texas, and I think that's the true Michael Penix. Unfortunately, he just didn't come when they needed him against Michigan. But Michigan played all around great. The defense was locked down. And then, McCarthy just did what he needed to do. I mean, he didn't have a great game, but he got the job done.
And look, I think that's part of the game to win a national championship in college football with the amount of teams that are competing for that. You have to be perfect. Like, you really can't have any mistakes. You can't suffer more than one loss at any point in the season. Otherwise, you're automatically out. So I think Michigan was, perfect in terms of, what they did. And obviously the game, the way they played wasn't perfect, but they got the job done. And I think Michigan's the better team, obviously, and I think they deserved it.
Yeah, Michigan just completely dominated Washington on the ground game. I mean, Blake Corum, 21 carries, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Donovan Edwards, 6 carries, 104 yards, 2 touchdowns. 2 of those carries went for about 80 yards combined. And Washington just looked slow and tired on defense. They couldn't keep up with either of Michigan's dual threat backs, and even McCarthy getting in on the running game. He had about 30 rushing yards, some with designed run plays and some just getting escape in the pocket.
Yeah, that one back had, I think, 2 carries for 2 touchdowns right off the bat, maybe 3 for 2, but again,
he actually entered one of the lists with Derrick Henry as longest touchdown runs for a national title game.
It felt so good to watch him finally do well, because going into the season, there was super high expectations for Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards as the clear number one running back duo in the country, but he really underperformed the entire year. I think he only had 1 touchdown on the year.
And you saw that interview too before the game where he's like, "My time will come."
Exactly.
And he scores 2 right away. That was really cool.
Poetic, really. Yeah.
I think Washington's miscues on offense were probably one of the biggest things to blame for their just lack of downfield threats. I was expecting Michael Penix to be airing the ball out downfield. I mean, he threw the ball a lot of times. He went 27 of 51, 255 passing yards. But we saw they had a couple plays drawn up where they had Rome Odunze, Jalen Polk, Jalen McMillan downfield, but the O-line wasn't giving Penix enough time. And the one time they had Odunze downfield, it was just a misread on the pass from Odunze.
Can't happen.
Looked the wrong way, and he knew. He got up, he said, "That's on me," and I think they ended up punting that same possession.
No, that was 4th down, I think. They were going for 4th and 3.
And I think as much as that was Odunze's fault, it was also Penix's fault. They just weren't on the same page. Penix probably saw that free safety coming over, and Odunze thought he could just beat him over the top. And it was honestly surprising for a receiver and a quarterback who have been, so good all season. You kind of would think that at that point of the season they'd be on the same page. And it seemed like if you are calling a play on 4th down, you probably run it a couple times throughout the season, knowing that you're going to have that guy open, have a chance to complete the pass. And yet, I mean, that was not even. I mean, it wasn't a catchable ball at that point. He had to flip his shoulders, and it was not even a lob, too. It was
very tough catch to make.
Almost a bullet pass down the sideline.
And Rob, talk about that D-line for Michigan. I mean, obviously they've been strong all season, but Penix had no time to throw the ball, so that's another factor in the game.
I mean, that Washington O-line, that's a line that they only let 11 sacks all year. They've protected Penix, done a great job protecting him, and that's really just their first true defensive test they've faced, other than maybe Oregon State.
It's true.
You've got guys like Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, who, I mean, we're going to talk about later. Just getting in the face of Penix. He's getting in Penix's face all game, providing that pressure. That's really what forced all those miscues. That's it.
And then I definitely think you have to consider, like, everybody all season either was Team Washington or they were saying a Pac-12 isn't a real schedule. And I think the national title game kind of proved it a little bit that when you're an O-line going up against guys who are in the Pac-12, it's much different when you face, 3 NFL players on the defensive line. I mean, I'm not sure who the right tackle was, but that right tackle holding got beat a lot of plays. I mean, there was when you do it all out, it was a minus 45 negative play for the Huskies. They had Romeo Dunze on that 32-yarder. Would have flipped the script, would have changed the game. But because of that pressure from the interior D-line as well as the edge rushers, Washington struggled a lot.
Yeah, injuries as well, part of a factor for Washington's offense. Dylan Johnson came to the game questionable, and first run in the first quarter, he got rolled up on. They had to tape up his right ankle, and after that, 11 carries for 33 yards, and he just didn't have any of the same explosiveness that we expect from him. As well, Michael Penix kept getting hit behind the line of scrimmage. He got rolled up on by one of his O-linemen. Saw him hobbling off the field a couple times, holding his hip in that what would have been tying up the game in the fourth quarter drive. And Romo Dunze also just got hit a couple times, got shaken up. So I think Washington just was not 100% at any point in this game, and that was just another huge factor. Michigan stayed healthy throughout the majority of the game. They stayed energized, and Washington seemed to just fall further and further behind.
By the time that Penix was, really visibly hurt, do you think there was really a chance for them to come back? Because I think they were down by 2 scores at that point with just 6 minutes left.
Yeah. I'll just go quickly. I mean, I think there was that one drive where Washington had the chance to close the gap to make it 20-20. I think that was the best life they had since, I'd say that was the only life they really had in that game. And, kind of losing that. And then Michigan comes out in the fourth quarter and is like, all right, we're going to steal the game here. They took it away, and that's when it was over. I think that was the only chance that Washington really had in that game.
Yeah, I mean, football is probably the toughest sport to be, constantly trailing because you're just, you're beaten up, you're tired, and yet you have to perform perfectly on both sides of the ball. They were down 14-3, then they were down 20-13, and they had a chance. They had Michigan pinned on their own 10, right?
Yeah,
and then McCarthy scrambled for 30 yards. I think that's when you can see the defeat in Washington. When you have them, you have a chance, and especially as a quarterback, you're like, all right, the defense, I just played my ass off to get this game back into a one-possession game, and then you have the defense letting up another first down. It's just demoralizing.
That McCarthy scramble, I'd say that was probably the most momentum-shifting play of the game. And then, a couple plays after that, you've got that Colston Loveland, what was that? That felt like a 40-yard catch. It could have just been. I don't know the actual stats, but yeah. All right, so I say that's enough on the national championship. Let's move on to the NFL playoffs. And, boy, I'm so excited for this playoff slate. I'm always excited going into the playoffs, but this is the most excited I've felt in a couple of years.
Definitely.
So starting off in the AFC, you've got the Texans hosting the Browns on Saturday at 4:30. You guys got any notes on that?
Yeah, I got the Browns winning this game. I think C.J. Stroud is not going to be the quarterback that we've seen throughout the regular season. Stroud is ranked 5th worst out of quarterbacks versus man defense. Browns run man defense the most out of any team in the league. I think Myles Garrett, all of those edge rushers are just going to feast on any O-lineman that's not named Laramie Tunsil for the Texans, and something's going to have to give in. I think Stroud's going to have to go over that, get over that hump of being bad against man defense, or Browns are just going to just absolutely demolish them.
Here, so let's not do picks just yet. We're just going to preview these games for a second. Browns beat the Texans 36-22 in Week 16. I think that
that is a good story of it. But although he's only a rookie, Stroud has played in big games before. He went to Ohio State, so you could play Michigan, 3 times in his tenure there, and then he did go to the playoffs. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, versus Georgia.
Yeah, so he's been in big games before, and obviously they're not NFL teams, but that Georgia team, 20
Basically,
NFL players, 25 NFL players. Yeah. So although he struggles against man, I definitely think DeMeco Ryans, who is a very good head coach, first-year head coach, is definitely going to turn this team into I think they're going to make a run. Yeah.
Look, I'd say the same thing. I think you got receivers like Nico Collins who are looking good. Obviously, you lost Tank Dell, which is it's going to hurt you. But you got a guy like Nico Collins who can catch a 75-yard receiving touchdown on the first play of the game. That's what you need.
Speed kills, yeah.
I honestly think that the Browns have had their run. They've had their time, but I think that's over. I think the Texans will take this one. And do I think they're going to go much further? No, I don't. It's a young quarterback. It's tough, but I do think the Texans will come away with this one.
Just being here for this Texans team is a win considering where they were last year.
Yeah.
All right, so in the next game, you've got the Chiefs hosting the Dolphins. Going to be a record-setting cold game, and as we know, Tua 0-4 in any games under 40 degrees. So this will definitely be an interesting one. What do you guys think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, Tua's, from Hawaii, then went to Bama, now played in Miami, like we mentioned before. You get accustomed to that. I mean, whatever that is, that's at least a decade of playing in warm weather, like since high school. So, obviously playing in Kansas City won't be the best situation for him, but Tyreek returns, I guess you could say, home. So a little bit of a rivalry there. So I'm excited to see this one. I think Tyreek's going to go off on this game.
I'd say the same thing. I mean, I'm a huge Tyreek Hill fan. You know, obviously, Will knows. Like, I'm a big fan of him in fantasy. But I think the Chiefs take this one away. It's been a while for them since they've had a strong showing, but when it comes down to it, I think they've proven what they can do in the past, and I just think they've had a lot of time to figure things out. And obviously, the weather is going to be an incredible advantage for them. And I don't see how the Dolphins can be the top team. They haven't been doing it this season. I don't see the Dolphins winning.
Yeah, Chiefs are going to have to do a lot better on execution side of offense. I mean, we've seen Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Justin Watson, Rashee Rice all just drop passes that.
And
don't forget Kadarius Toney.
Kadarius Toney has to be in that
God.
conversation.
Yep.
Yeah, all of them just dropping easy, just dump off passes over the middle. And, I mean, I think Chiefs win at least 2 or 3 more games if they have receivers that can make, like, catches that NFL receivers should
definitely
make.
don't disagree with you. I think Patrick Mahomes, puts them in positions to succeed. But if you can't make the catch, at that point, you can just play straight man, and then you can double Travis Kelce, and then you have to guard Waddle, Tyreek, and then Mostert out of the backfield. And I think that's why the Dolphins will come away with this one. I got Dolphins 35-31.
All right, yeah, let's get through this one a little bit faster. I got the Bills hosting the Steelers on Sunday at 1. Rudolph is going to be staying out at QB1. That'll be interesting to watch. And obviously, T.J. Watt just got ruled out. How do you think that's going to?
I think that's consensus, Bills.
I mean, Steelers
without
are 1-10.
TJ Watt.
Yeah.
Steelers are 1-10 in games without TJ Watt since he joined the team. Since he joined the team, 1-10. I mean, they just that compiled with the outside factors. If you're playing a backup quarterback, that's game.
And a quarterback who has no experience too.
Game is over before it started.
All right, so now let's go to the NFC. You got the Cowboys hosting the Packers. Mike McCarthy revenge game, baby. Can't wait to see this one. I feel like this is an underrated matchup. How are you feeling about this one?
I think Cowboys are going to have to erase the narrative that they can't win in any playoff games. We've seen the past couple of years them just completely choke away any chances of them moving on in the playoffs. But I think this year it's a much different Cowboys team. I think McCarthy taking over the play call and taking over the offense made Dak just the much better QB that he's shown he is this year. And I think that Cowboys a lot more weapons, a lot more explosive than these Packers, but I don't think this game is going to be over. I think it's going to be a much closer game than we all expect.
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys are the better team. No one's arguing they have better players, but when it comes down to it, the Cowboys can't win a playoff game, and they never had success in the postseason in the past. So we'll see what they can do this year, and with the season CeeDee Lamb's having, I don't see how they can't pull away with this one, but I mean, I do think it's a real possibility. Like, if someone was to bet on the Packers, I wouldn't tell them that's just an awful idea. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I'd actually have the Packers winning this game. The line was set at 7.5, obviously subject to change, but I would definitely bet that spread if
you were betting real money, because you're not.
Yeah, obviously. But I'm just saying, I think Jordan Love has turned the script around. He's playing like how he should be. I mean, he had a couple of years under Rodgers, and we all know Rodgers is magic in the playoffs, so hopefully he can pass that down to Jordan Love. And I mean, what better time to get hot going into playoffs, figuring out your stuff. And I mean, like you said, Gray, I mean, Cowboys have yet to put it all together, and they do have talent this year, but we all know Dak is prone to interceptions, and that's going to be a killer.
We know Jordan Love, he's no Aaron Rodgers yet, at least. But, I mean, you can't underrate him. You're, over 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns this year. And in this game, I'd love to see Jordan Love to Jaden Reed. That's been a really underrated connection so far. And now going to the Lions hosting the Rams. First game in Ford Field. Is that ever? Or, I mean, a playoff game, that is, but it's going to be
maybe like in the 50s or 60s.
Oh, yeah. I don't even know. They weren't playing the Ford Field back then. But you got, what is it? This is going to be an insane game. The atmosphere in Detroit's going to be incredible, and I can't wait to see
the Stafford Goff trade is really going to be the headliner of this one, coming back to the Lions territory, potentially taking them down for what he tried to build. So really be a shocker and a punch to the face or a slap in the face for all the Lions fans. But we'll see.
I've got a couple Lions fans, friends who are Lions fans. And, no matter what, they said they're always cheering for Stafford. Like, they just love him so much. So, obviously, this is going to be a little bit torn. Obviously, you're going to be rooting for the Lions if you're a fan of them. But to see, the person you, survived with for 10 years, it's going to be, it's a great game. However, this one, I'm definitely taking the Rams. I think being new to the playoffs, it's very tough. And then you have a Sean McVay.
Yeah,
is a excellent coach, and I think he's going to outcoach Dan Campbell. And I think it's the coaching that's going to win the game for the Rams.
Henry, can you walk us through the injuries, what that's looking like right now? Lions and Rams, really. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Laporta, probably torn ACL. That was just a really questionable move by Dan Campbell last week to play all their starters.
That was an MCL. Was it?
I thought the MRI.
Whatever the injury was, he's done for the
He's
season.
probably not.
Yeah,
Whatever it is.
He's been ruled out as out indefinitely, I'm pretty sure. But
a lot of those other Lions players we saw, Josh Reynolds was shaken up last week, and Rams, they rested all their players last week. We saw Carson Wentz lead them to a win against Sam Darnold.
Yep, that's the coaching right there.
What got them that 6th seed? Yep.
Yeah, much better coaching, and I think it's going to be a potential upset for these guys.
Yeah, obviously, Rob, you highlighted upset. I'll say one more thing before we go to the Eagles game, but I think this is the game that if you're feeling risky, you want to take the upset, this is the one you take.
All right, let's move on to the last, I'd say, snooze fest of a game. The Eagles are going to be at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I just want to say one thing. The Buccaneers, if you score only 9 points against the Panthers, I don't see how you can pick them to beat the team. Even though the Eagles they've got horrible momentum, lost 2 straight and lost 5 of 6. I just don't see how the Eagles are really going to allow the Buccaneers to upset them.
I'm split. I don't know. This is such a close one. There's so many things that have gone wrong for the Eagles that are going wrong currently, from the last game. So I think there's so much going, the Buccaneers' way. They've got momentum with Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans. They got a lot of talented guys. So I think this is another game that could easily be upset. But when it comes down to it, I do kind of have the Eagles. I think I'd have the Eagles over them just because the Philadelphia Eagles are going to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take the Bucs on this one. I think Mike Evans is probably one of the toughest to guard in the league. He's 6'4". He's had every single season 1,000 yards that he's been in the league. And I wouldn't say I'm not a fan of Jalen Hurts, but he's a Dak, basically. He had 15 interceptions this year. He's played in big games before, but he really hasn't been able to get over that hump. And if you told me at the beginning of the season the Eagles would not host a playoff game after the way they started, I would say what happened, because obviously they just
they were 10-1.
Exactly. Yeah. Something is going wrong. You're down A.J. Brown day to day for Hurts. I see the Bucs pulling this one out with the momentum, because really all it is momentum. It's when you get hot, and that's true in every sport. There's plenty of other examples, but we don't have to bore you guys with that. Yeah. But I'm gonna go with the Bucs.
Should we? Oh, you go something?
I think Eagles are just gonna get exposed this game. They could be out with They could be out for their 2 best wide receivers. Could be out for this game. A.J. Brown most likely out, and Devontae Smith still dealing with that ankle injury. Eagles should truly be on a 6-game losing streak right now. They should have been swept by my New York Giants, and they lost to a bunch of other teams, including the Cardinals and Seahawks, that they had no business losing to.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get our official picks out of the way. For the first game, Browns at Texans. I've got the Browns.
Also going with the Browns.
Texans.
Okay. Pretty split down the middle in this one. I don't hate it. Yeah, it's going to be a fun game. Chiefs at the Dolphins. Sorry, Dolphins at Chiefs. I've got the Dolphins.
I got my Chiefs. I'll be wearing a Kelsey jersey, so.
No one knows why he's a Chiefs fan. He's from Connecticut. Nobody knows. I'm going with the Dolphins.
I root for everyone. I root for the Orlando Magic in the NBA. So
good for you.
Weird stuff.
I'm going with the Chiefs. Mahomes.
Don't hate it. Yeah. All right. Steelers at Bills. I got Bills.
It's be Bills across the board.
Yeah. I don't see how the Bills lose this one.
Even though the Bills are kind of they feel kind of fraudulent. They've looked really shaky.
Josh Allen just needs a playoff berth, and he's gonna do some damage.
I just don't see how you can lose to the Steelers team, man. They're just not good. That's silly how you can put it. All right, Packers at Cowboys. Give me the Cowboys.
Going
Cowboys.
Cowboys as well. sadly.
Packers.
I mean, we already talked about this one. We don't got to make it a whole controversy over here, but I don't hate the pick. I don't hate it.
I don't hate it. I don't think anyone hates the pick. I just think it's more of like,
I know who
How do the
liked that
Cowboys
pick.
lose?
Tish is gonna love that.
Oh yeah,
pick.
he's gonna
Tish is gonna love that.
Yeah.
pick.
All right, you got Rams, the Lions. We've already kind of said our stuff. Give me the Lions.
Rams.
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 All right, yeah, I'll go for me against the world, I guess. And then finally,
But is it really you against the world?
It's not you against the world. That's
Two against
so
us.
crazy.
I think people might be overrating the Rams a little bit too much, but I don't hate it. They're a solid team.
I want to take the Lions.
Look, when it
but
comes
that's
down
the
to it,
one upset I think will happen.
If I
Yeah.
had to put like something on it, I'm probably going with the Lions. But at the same time, I have that gut feeling that the Rams could pull this one off.
In my mind, that the Lions are just a team that I want to root for. I mean,
I know
my team,
the
Patriots
Lions.
are
The Lions
awful.
are America's team.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't have a team to root for because the Patriots are awful now. All right, so now you got the Eagles at the Buccaneers. Give me the Eagles.
Buccaneers all day.
I think Eagles. I said with all the setbacks, you're the Philadelphia Eagles. You're a championship team in the past and earlier this season. I think there's a chance.
That 10-1 does scare me the way you start the season, but I just can't with how they've played recently. It's almost like 2 seasons ago, like that 10-1 happened. It feels so far in the past, so I'm going with the Bucks.
All right. So now moving on to our last segment, I'm going to ask you guys some questions. So first off, what game are you guys most excited for in the playoffs?
Dolphins Chiefs. I think that's going to be an insanely high scoring game. I mean, as a fan of football, you always just want to see high scoring games. I mean, yes, good defense is fun when it's your team, but everybody wants to see that Chiefs-Rams game from 2019, I believe, that Monday night game where it was like 56-51. That's the most fun game to watch, so that's what I'm hoping for.
I have 3: Chiefs, Cowboys, Lions. When it comes down to it, like I think if I was a Lions or a Rams fan or cared a little bit more about them, it'd be the best game. But for me, it's just like the Chiefs, Dolphins. That's gonna be the coolest.
I'm going with Texans Browns.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
40-year-old versus 20-year-old. I mean, future Hall of Famer versus future Rookie of the Year in
And
my
Super
eyes.
Bowl winning QB Joe Flacco.
Yeah, can't forget
Elite
that.
quarterback Joe Flacco. I think it's going to be just a great game, both sides.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go with the Lions-Rams game. I mean, as you can see, we had the most probably controversy here, so that'll show you just how exciting this one's going to be. And I mean, it says runner-up. I've got the Texans-Browns one because that's an underrated matchup that I feel like not enough people are talking about. And all right, so at the end, who do you guys think is going to come out on top and win the Super Bowl? I mean, because you got the Ravens and the 49ers who aren't playing, and the Ravens, I mean, they just look. If they don't make the Super Bowl in this AFC bracket, I just don't see how they could consider this.
This for me, this feels like a harder decision than like picking the March Madness winner outright. I just feel like everyone's so unpredictable in the NFL, especially this year. Like my pick's gonna be the Ravens probably, like that's going to be the go-to, but at the same time I could see 6 teams realistically winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I mean, I hate to be the guy that puts both 1 seeds in the Super Bowl, but I think in football, better team wins most of the time. Like in basketball, you can have off days shooting, you can go 10% from the field, but in football, like you have an off day throwing, all right, you go to the run game. So, honestly, I think it's be Ravens, 49ers, and I like Shanahan. I love what he does out there, and I just think the talent on offense and defense is going to carry the Niners to a Super Bowl.
I'm going completely different. I think Bills are winning the Super Bowl.
Wow.
I was thinking that when Rob asked the question, so I don't hate that.
Most explosive team. I mean, best athlete at the quarterback position besides, obviously, Lamar Jackson. But, I mean, I think Josh Allen can just turn into another mode that we haven't even seen since maybe his sophomore year in the NFL. I just think he can be trustable now with Joe Brady at offensive coordinator. Stephon Diggs gonna go off in these wild card games.
Is he though? Diggs and then Davis is kind of hurt now. I mean, look, I hate the pick. I'm just saying.
I think Diggs is top 5 wide receivers in the NFL, not fantasy, real wide receivers.
Yeah. And for me, I mean, I just don't see how the Ravens don't make the Super Bowl in the AFC bracket. I mean, the only teams I could see giving them a challenge are the Browns and the Bills, really. I feel like everyone else, I just can't really think of anyone that could,
Not the
put up a
Chiefs.
fight against them.
No,
not the Chiefs. They don't feel like the same Chiefs as they has been. I mean,
They're not.
I know Andy Reid and Mahomes, they've got that experience.
I don't know, that playoff just
it's literally if the Chiefs players caught
balls,
passes, they
they've got
beat
3 more
12 and
wins.
3.
They've got 3 more wins.
That's what I'm saying.
Wherever the record should be.
I don't know. I just like Andy
Yeah.
Reid. I like Patrick Mahomes.
I said the same exact stuff last year that the Chiefs didn't feel the same, so maybe I'm wrong again. But yeah, and in the NFC, I mean, I feel like the 49ers, that loss to the Ravens, I mean, it really kind of showed who they are. Eagles, I don't think they make it back. Cowboys, I'd go with them, but I mean, it's the Cowboys.
Cowboys aren't winning the Super
I
Bowl.
don't know, man.
It's our year every year.
I mean, if there's any year that, this really is their year, I feel like it would be now. But, I mean, I honestly could see the Cowboys beating the 49ers, but they got killed by the 49ers in I don't remember when that was, but that was earlier in the season. So if there's any two teams to make it, then I'd say it's the 49ers and the Cowboys out of the NFC. And on top, I mean, I just have to take the Ravens because they just look that good,
Definitely.
I would love to see a Cinderella story out of any two of these conferences.
I
but
do think
that
that I really think the Chiefs could give the Ravens trouble. I mean, we saw it with Sean Payton and Drew Brees, that QB coach duo.
Yeah.
And I think Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have it, and I truly think that Patrick Mahomes is going to create a run. I mean, there's Mahomes magic for a reason.
Yep.
He's going to make something happen. I think they at least go to the AFC Championship.
All right, that's going to do it for this podcast, Season 3, Episode 2 of Beyond the Whistle. We will see you guys next time with another episode coming out. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.